Is it working?
Cool.
Bong. We are recording. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah.
Um,
Hello, everyone.
so I will introduce these two wonderful people above me because you guys are watching a video. Linda over here, and oh no, I did it wrong. I think this is Linda. This is Paniz,
Hey guys.
and they are the host of one of the most wonderful podcasts I've listened to. Not having it,
Oh,
and I
uh,
hope I did it
well,
justice saying it with a
thank
slight accent, but I know I probably didn't.
yeah, no, you did a good job.
Yeah, great job.
Oh man, I did all that hard work to put your logo on this and then forgot to put your logo. Hold on, we're gonna put your logo. Oh, but we can keep talking while I can do it because weirdly enough, I'm one of the few men in the world who can multitask.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm throwing that shade early.
Oh, you're not alone. I know there's a few people out there.
Thank you.
I mean, I can barely multitask, and I'm
Really? With age, it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, as you know, Linda, I'm a very stressed out person, so I just think it's the stress from it all that I can't deal.
Oh my God. I think it's because when I was younger, I used to just weirdly enough, I'd play video games and watch TV at the same time, and my brain has never.
Right.
Yeah, I've just never focused on only one thing. Silly of me, but it feels boring to focus on one thing. I watch TV at 1.5 speed.
Really?
Yeah, I really
So
do.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
My mum can just be looking at a picture, and I'll tell her something, and she'll be like, "I'm busy." 1 second, I was like, "You're just looking at a picture."
That's me. I get stressed. I can't do it.
But obviously, when it's something like writing something long or whatever, like you know, you're focused a little bit more. But
Yeah.
with multitasking, I'm getting worse and worse as I get older.
Well, definitely for me, one of the problems is the more I do, if anything, I'm a jack of no trades is the problem, right? Like jack of all trades, master of none, I think is one of the sayings. Like I can do multiple things at once, but Lord knows if I'm doing them all well. And that's one of the reasons that I definitely tell myself I should really try and focus and finish one task at a time. But my brain gets really bored if I'm doing one specific thing. It's like, yeah, you should like when I'm at work, for example, I just have to be listening to a podcast because I work in an industry
right.
like my job before this whole thing happened, and I unfortunately got laid off, but my job was building playlists for public spaces and like restaurants, hotels, bars, like that was my job. But I would like do that, and then there's like parts of the job where I don't have to listen to music, and immediately as soon as I'd stop listening to music, I'd like turn a podcast on and continue. And it's just like,
Yeah,
I got to be able to have a little silence.
yeah. Oh, bless you. Well, I think, you know what, like as much as we're not having it with that, there are things coming. So hopefully we just have to be very hopeful.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. So
of course, that's what a lot of my friends have been saying. They're like, "Yo, you're podcasting every day. Your interview skills are probably getting sharper." And I'm like, "Yeah, now let's get that advertising money. What's up, y'all?" Well, fingers crossed.
yeah, exactly.
So I think the first question that's going to be on anyone's mind when they see two wonderful young Brits is, where did the idea for the podcast not having it come from?
Well, do you know what?
I think it has a bit of a backstory, right? So me and Linda have been friends since we were like 11 or 12. So here, when she came to secondary school, which I don't know, is Canada and America's school system quite similar?
Canada uses, I think the similar system is used. So I have elementary school, high school for 5 years, and then Quebec is weird because we have cégep for 2 years, and then we do university. But we do secondary school for 5 years.
Right. So we met at, I think would be elementary school for you guys.
Okay.
And we've just been friends since. And for many years, we've just like when we're not having it with something, we just always just say, I'm just not having it with this, I'm not having it with that.
Yes.
And then one day, like we wanted to do like a podcast or a YouTube channel, something like that for a long time now. And one day we were like, come on, we have to do it. We have to just start. And we were sitting there and we were like, what is the concept going to be? Like what theme? And we were thinking of all these themes and we were just like, this is not it. This is not it. And then actually I'm going to say Linda, I was in bed and she's like, send me a voice note. She was like, Paniz, I think I have it. We have to do it. We have to call it Not Having It. And then we were like, yes, this is it. Like it felt like the most us thing ever. So yeah, that's kind of
yeah, that's a really good explanation, Paniz. But basically, like in school, especially, there are a lot of things that you're just not having it with, whether it's like friendship groups, just like school in general, like people around you, whatever. So every time, especially because me and Paniz were so close, we would get together and be like, I'm not having it. Like, so ever since we were very young, that's literally been our thing. So then when we were thinking of a podcast and the concept of it, it was just like, there's no better thing than this. And a lot of people can relate to it as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think it's so much fun listening to the episodes. One of the things that I used to be a program director at a radio station, and when we were there, people would come in with these ideas and you'd see them go on air and they'd try their best, but it wasn't always like the smoothest thing. But I think the true gift is always trying to make it sound natural and comfortable. And listening to your show, the fact that like you guys have been friends since you were 12 definitely comes across. Like you get that like great friendship energy. I was saying like to Linda the other day when we were talking pre-production stuff, I was just like, that episode where you guys talked about hot chocolate and the pink hot chocolate at the and also one of the things that I think is super great that you do is you recognize the fact that the audience might not necessarily be local, so you do reference equivalents for people, which is another thing that I think is really important. A lot of people don't necessarily do that. They do very localized. They talk very localized, but the reference to like, oh, it's like Starbucks, but we call it. And unfortunately, I don't remember the name, but like that's an important thing. And then the story about the whole process of like getting it. It's disgusting. Realize, like, what do we do now? And then the story, like, the New York friend, like, oh, you know what? I'm not even going to do it justice. If you guys want to listen to that episode, just listen to all their episodes and you'll hear it. Because it was great. It was just so much fun.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so nice to hear from you, honestly. It means a lot.
It felt like I was the friend at the table waiting for you guys to get your drinks finalized who was drinking his hot chocolate because he wasn't brave enough to get the other flavor like you did. So I'm like sitting in the corner.
That pink hot chocolate was not it.
Yeah, I'm still not having it with that drink. It was disgusting. I'm sorry.
It looked so appealing. And then we tasted it. We didn't even say anything. We both looked at each other and we were like, I'm not having it.
And it's funny because
we didn't have it because we returned.
Yeah, but we were both scared to do it. Do you remember? We were just said, hi, I'm sorry. I don't really like this drink.
We literally had to stand there for a while and they were both like,
what do you do?
We were trying to say that we didn't like it. This is where the culture differences, I think, come in because, like, as I was saying in the episode, my US friend, she would happily just walk over and be like, do you know what? It wasn't what I wanted. Yeah. Doesn't taste nice, whatever. But we in Britain, we don't do that at all. We're just a bit like, oh no, we'll just
it's fine, I'll have it. It's fine.
Brush it under the carpet and that's it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely where Canada gets influenced by the Americans. Because if I got something I didn't want, I would be like, hey, yo, homie, this is disgusting. You need to replace this. In what world is this hot chocolate? You should be ashamed.
Really?
Oh, I've gone up to like, I've gotten food and I've never sent anything back unless there was like a hair in it or something. But I've gotten food that I was just like, I've ordered and I've regretted it and I've acknowledged. Maybe one of the advantages of being a Canadian is that I'm apologetic when I'm explaining it, at least. Like I'll be like, sorry?
That's nice, at least.
Yeah. Like I'll be like, I'm really sorry. I realized that this is my fault for ordering this thing and not enjoying it. is there any chance I could substitute or, and sometimes they're just like, of course. And like, you know, it's just like, but then sometimes it's just like, sorry, sir. And so I'm like, oh, you're going to charge me for another plate if I order another plate.
That's the thing with British people, I think, like I'm talking from what me and Paniz kind of both of us think, but like obviously British people in the entirety of it, like I don't know. But we if I were to take something back and they are giving me an attitude for it, even though I have like a valid reason, that just gets us British people riled up a little bit. Like, you're not letting me talk, you're not doing anything for me, now you're causing an argument. Whereas you, on the other hand, being like very apologetic, it's just like really, really difficult for someone to be like no, like it's just, you have to be like really nasty to say no to someone like that.
Yeah. There's some times where people, you can tell they genuinely don't want to give me what I want, but at the same time, I've been so polite about it that they're just like, am I going to be the jerk who crushes this man's hopes of eating a delicious, I don't know, fettuccine Alfredo with grilled chicken as opposed to grilled shrimp? Lesson learned, always get the grilled chicken. I learned that the hard way. But yeah, so you guys met when you were 12, and now how old are you guys now?
So, Liz, do you want to go?
All right, I'm 23 and she's 22. So yeah.
She just turned 23, which is why I let her do the honors first, as she's older than me.
Unfortunately, I had to take one for the team. And 23 first.
I'm 36, so let's.
You don't look it at all.
Thank you. I was hoping I'd get the "you don't look 36" comment.
I actually thought you were our age.
Yes. Oh, yo.
Yeah, you look like you're in your 20s.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm so happy Black can't blush, because I would. It don't crack and it don't blush. No, I thank you. No, I'm 36. I'm an 80s baby. I'm weirdly old enough to remember what I was doing on December 31st, 1989. And that's one of the things I pride myself on. Like, anytime I talk to someone younger who says they're an 80s baby, I'm like, can you remember 89 flipping to 90? Because I was watching Howie Mandel. You might know him as the guy from, I don't know, Gold Briefcase Game or whatever it was called. But he was doing comedy back then, kids. So, yeah.
I feel like it's the same with 90s kids. So they'll be like, but do you remember when it turned 2000? And I'll be like, I don't know.
I actually don't.
Oh, wait, that's true. Wait, so you guys are young enough not to remember the flip from 99 to 2000?
I mean, I remember the year 2000, but I don't remember it turning 2000.
Yeah. Like, you don't remember actually like doing anything New Year's Eve.
No. I think we're too young for that.
Yeah, that's true. Oh God, that made me feel so old.
That's so weird. I'm sorry.
No, that's not on you. The fact that I used 89 to 90 as my example is my fault, because I could have used 99 to 2000 and have been equally proud. And instead, I went a full decade. Man, yeah, yo. Okay, well, I'll tell you one thing. 99 to 2000, not as cool as everyone said it was going to be. There was there was tons of great, like, huge parties and everyone was celebrating, but there was also Y2K, which was like a weird concern. And my dad was working for the company that managed the 911 system here in Montreal at the time. So he had to go into work. So it was just my mom, me, and my sister, which was fine. My dad was a musician, so he usually was working on New Year's Eve. But that one big turnover. Oh, and crazy story. My girlfriend at the time, her dad moved her and the family to the country because he was afraid that Y2K was going to make all the computers go crazy and that the cities would shut down. So he moved them to like a small town in the country, and she left. She was my girlfriend, and she just had to leave. And then she came back years later and couldn't get accustomed to life in the big city anymore. She was just like, no, I don't like it here anymore. It was really sad and weird.
I mean, I think it's really cool that you kind of grew up in the 90s though, like proper. I don't know, I really love I think the 90s are great.
It was fun.
So I think that, yeah, the fact that you grew up in that 90s age is quite cool.
Yeah, it was, I think listening to Snow's Informer 100 times in a row because we were like 10 and it was so funny to hear and you were just like, and you're trying to sing along to the song as a 10-year-old. It was like, this is that, like, and like picture like my best friend Jason had the exact same haircut that Snow had, but like with brown hair instead of blonde, and is like looks kind of like Snow, funny enough. And he's just like has the swagger and is like super excited because everyone like has him sing it because he looks like him. And then I would come in and do like the black guy's part because we were kids, so you just stereotypes was easy. You're just no one thought about it more than the fact that like white guy, black guy. Okay, you play the white guy, I'll play the black guy. It was fun though. It was fun.
Well,
what was
all
it
I'm
like?
going to remember from this is what's happening now, unfortunately, 2020.
Well, what was it like growing up in the 2000s? Because I was an adult doing like being in university.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I was
That's
like in
so
university, and like I just found a paper. Oh, I think it's right next to me. I found a paper that I wrote in 2003 in my first year of university.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, you know what, it's weird because even though we grew up at different times, we're still both millennials in a way.
Yes.
Right? And it's just so weird. But I
Proud
think
of it.
growing up in the 2000s was full of like obviously still VHS tapes and cassettes and
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah, and like I don't know, like Tamagotchi's, Game Boy.
Oh my God. Okay. I feel you are describing the same thing as I went through. So.
Oh right, cool then. Yeah. PlayStation,
Yes.
PS1
Okay.
and 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
this one.
What else?
Oh,
Nintendo
the
DS
face.
came out then as well.
Linda's face.
No.
PS1.
You know what? Like when I think about it, those were the best times. I can't lie.
Oh yeah, yo, 100. Being a kid and playing video games and
Mm.
but okay, here's one thing though. When you guys were kids, because when I was a kid, no joke, at like 8 or 9, we would leave our houses at noon and come back at like 8 p.m. and that was normal to just disappear for 8 hours and then just come back home. Is that a thing you guys did at all as kids?
what would you do like in that time that you
Oh.
disappear though?
Riding bikes, going to the
Oh,
park, playing, just being a kid, just genuinely like I remember like early 90s. My mom, and I'm sorry if my mom's hearing this because I've never told this story publicly online, but my mom signed me up for, oh man, I'm so scared to tell the story. Mom, I'm really sorry. My mom signed me up. My mom signed me up for like local baseball, and I hated baseball. So, you know, I went to the practices and stuff. And then when we had to actually play games and there was a schedule, my mom was taking care of my sister and my dad was working, so they couldn't really often come. And then eventually they couldn't come at all. So once my mom, and I realized my mom couldn't come anymore, I would put on my uniform and ride my bike and pretend I was going to the games. And I would just ride around the neighborhood for like 3-4 hours. And then I would just go home.
Oh my god, that is so funny.
And
Oh
then-
my god. Why didn't I think of anything like that?
I
Because
don't think we were as rebellious, to be honest.
No, I was very scared.
Yeah, same, me too.
I'm-
Like,
I should have
there
been
was
scared.
I know there was there was a corner shop that a lot of like younger people used to hang around there. And to be honest, when you're quite young and especially a girl,
Yeah,
my dad didn't want me going anywhere near that without permission. Basically.
that's fair. Yeah.
And I remember one day I rebelled against it. And I went and I was like, I'm gonna go get myself a magazine. And I was like, why did I even need that magazine? And then I bought it, and then I was trying to think of a way of like lying as to where I got it. But then I realized that it had the date of like the day I bought it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is not gonna work out. And then my brother found out, and then he was blackmailing me for years that he's gonna tell my dad.
Whoa, this is such a wild. Your brother blackmailed you for going to the corner store.
This is literally so yeah, he would be like, well, if you don't do this, I'm gonna tell dad about that one day that you went.
Wow,
We were very young, but it makes me laugh to this day
that's
because
awesome.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that blackmail did last for about 3 years.
And all you did was go to the corner shop.
No.
And now that I think about it, I'm like, why was I so scared? Like, he would have just said, let it not happen again. But I was just so scared.
Oh,
So I think that's like the most rebellious, maybe one of the most rebellious things I've done.
that is awesome,
And the
though.
corner shop.
That is. I love that. I love that your brother was like milking that for 3 years.
Do you know what? He is, he took advantage.
Yo,
do you know what I'm
full
saying?
on. Did you?
He had to do what he had to do to get things done around
Yeah.
here. You know, make me clean his room, etc.
Were your parents? So one of my friends, we found out when we were in elementary school, she was petrified of her father.
Yeah.
And then when she was in high school, there was one time where she asked to go out, and her mom's just like, "You can't go out," and she's just like, "Why?" And she's just like, "Your dad doesn't want you to." And she was just like, okay. And then she like walked away, and then she's just like, you know what? No, I'm confronting dad for once. And we're talking like her entire life, she was convinced her dad never wanted her to go out. And she confronted her dad, and the dad's just like, I don't care. And she's like, wait, what? And the dad's like, your mom's the one that never wanted you to go out. I never cared. And we're talking.
You know what?
Plot twist.
Yo,
Plot twist right there.
can you imagine though?
Yeah, I know. The thing is like a lot of the times, especially with me, I don't know if you're the same, Paniz, but when I would ask my mum something, she would be like, I'm not going to say anything, go ask your dad.
Yeah.
And then I used to be like, okay, but what if like he says, ask your mum? So it was constantly like,
Did they
ask
do that?
your dad, ask your mum. And I was always like, so who's going to make a decision here? Was it like that for you?
For me or Brian? Are you
No,
asking?
for you, Paniz.
Oh, me? Yeah, no, it was kind of. I feel like, to be honest, it's weird because most people I talk to, I feel like their mum is more strict than their dad with these kind of things.
Yeah.
But with me, it was definitely my dad that would kind of just be like, where are you going? What time? Who you go with? And my mum would just kind of be like, yeah, go have fun. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it was a bit, different.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a little sister, so she's 9 years younger than me, so we have a big age gap.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I was actually gonna say, growing up in the 2000s, I was an only child until she was born in 2006, so
Yeah.
by then I was like 10 or 9, 10.
Yeah.
And so she couldn't blackmail me like Linda's brother. So I had a fairly chill lifestyle back then.
Yo, that's cool. What's it like to be a older sibling by 9 years? Because my sister is literally we're what folks call Irish twins. Like I'm born like I don't publicly say my birthday, but I'm born on a certain day, and my sister's born the next year 20 days later.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. It's okay. So it feels like when she was younger, it was more like I'd play with her and stuff like that. But when you're like a teenager and then you have like a younger sibling, it's just kind of like take her with you everywhere. Like we were having this discussion because Linda also has a brother that's 8, 9 years younger than her as well.
Oh.
So we relate on that level. And then also now they're at that age where sometimes I feel like I'm parenting her a little bit. Like if I tell her don't do that, she'll be like, "You're not my mom." I'll be like,
That happens to me as well.
"Yeah."
But going back to the whole like sibling thing, like obviously I have an older brother by 1 year and a younger brother also.
Okay.
So I'm like piggy in the middle here.
Yeah.
But basically, like having a younger brother, as you said, Panay, is like while being a teenager is so difficult because they want to come with you because they're clingy like that. And you want to take them with you because your parents will be like, well, you can't go there if you don't take your brother. Like I can go to the park and play with my friends without taking him with me because he didn't have a younger sibling to go out with, or he didn't want to go out with my parents or whatever. I would have to take him. But that was the annoying bit, and we were talking about this Paniz last episode as well, like in our last episode. So it's interesting.
I the thing that I don't have I have older siblings, but they're so much older that they weren't living at home. But my older cousin, whenever he'd come and visit, would like use me as like the cute little brother to like pick up girls in the park. So so that's the thing. I guess that's the thing. The difference between guys and girls. Because like if you were a guy and had like a little sibling, and you'd go to the park and like a girl comes over, is like, "Oh my God, your brother's so cute." You'd be like, "Yeah," and you're like flirting with, which is what my cousin did. My cousin would, all the time. I remember my mom walking me home one day from day camp, and all these like teenage girls waving at me, and my mom's like, "Why do you know all the teenage girls from the school here?" Because I was no joke like 6 or 7. She's just like, "Why are these teenage girls waving at you?" And I'm like, "Oh, because Hanif always brings me to the park and I talk to the girls." And my mom's like, "Okay, you're not hanging out with Hanif anymore."
Your mom was not having it, basically.
Yes. No, she definitely was not having it. Like, stop using my son as a puppy in a park.
Love that.
Oh my God.
I feel like whenever I'm like with a small kid or a baby, like, you know, it could be a cousin or whatever, people would come up to me the same way they would to you, but for a different reason. They'll be like, "Oh, your baby's so cute," and I'd be like, "Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's not mine." So they would always assume that it was mine for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
Blonde with blue eyes, and I'm definitely none of those features. And they'll be like, "Oh, your baby's cute," and I'm like 17, but thank you.
Is it bad that I would want to make the joke like, "Oh, they are cute. You want to buy them?" Like I would just.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you know what? That would be a good joke, but then they'll be like, "How much?" And then I'll just lose the plot.
And then you just have to run away, get that baby and run.
Oh my God. Plot twist. Yo, oh my God, that's so crazy to think of. This is the world we live in, though. I guess that's why it's different that I was running around in the streets all hours as a child.
And going back to that, like I definitely spent a long time outside, but it was definitely not that long. Probably like 4 hours.
Okay, yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
Five,
You could be outside as well, but not that long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes my dad had to come because we didn't obviously have phones. He used to come out to the park and be like, "Okay, time to come home." And then I'll be like, "Oh, 5 more minutes." Like, you know.
That's cute.
But you know when you were with your cousin, I don't know, personally for me, when I was with my cousins, like that's when I would go out as soon as we'd wake up and just play outside the whole day until like dinner time. And then they literally have to drag us in. So when I was with my cousins, I definitely did what you did, Brian.
It was so much fun though.
Yeah, it was. I wish I could go back.
If you're all out together, they can't say, "Oh, come home," because you'll be like, "Yeah, and what about this person?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to that, I was a very shy kid, right? So not shy in the sense of like with other people, because I was always like very chatty and whatever. But when it came to like asking my parents for something, I was so shy. I used to write things on a piece of paper and be like, "Please circle yes or no," and slide it underneath the door. Like, "Please go outside."
You're so cute.
And then when he would say no, I'll be like, "Why?" and slide it back.
Yes. That is so adorable.
But yeah, I was a weird kid.
I used to do some weird things with notes as well. But say, for example, if I felt like I was being naughty and then my mum told me off, afterwards I'd write a letter and I'd be like, "I'm so sorry, Mum," and then I'd stick it on her door and she'd just be like, why are you writing a letter?" I'd write like a whole letter.
That's cute though. Man, no, I love that. I love that. Like the actual art of like writing, or like the circle, a yes or no, is like adorable weird.
It's so funny. And I was actually reminding my dad the other day, I was like, "Do you remember when I couldn't actually ask you anything? Like I would just circle it." And that was the way with like both my mum and dad. I was just like really like, because I think I was afraid of them saying no.
Yeah.
And then me going crazy. So then I was just like, for a letter, calm and collected, just slide under the door.
So the first time you did that, did they even understand? Like,
yeah, I think like I made it really clear.
Like there's like
big bold writing. Big bold writing, yes or no, can I play outside? And then sometimes he would say maybe, and then with who or whatever.
Oh, that's cute.
Sometimes he would ask me and I wouldn't respond. I would write it down. So weird.
I like in my head. I'm picturing you now, and I know you said you wrote them, but I'm picturing you at a little typewriter, like, and then like giving them the note.
Yeah, if I had one, 100% I would do that.
And then Paniz is like over there with like a quill and like ink well, just like, mother, on this day I apologize for being slightly off.
Oh,
I was not having the best of days.
Whenever I was naughty, I would never apologize. I was very like,
really?
Yeah, I was very like,
I didn't do anything
I
wrong.
was like, I didn't do anything.
You're still kind of like that. You'd be like, so?
Yeah. I don't know. Basically, we have a show here. I don't know if you're aware of it. We had one. Well, now it's not really airing. I don't know if it's airing actually, but she's called Tracy Beaker, right?
I've heard
you might have heard of it. But basically, she's a very naughty girl. And she would come up with like all sorts of mischief, whatever.
Yeah.
So
basically, the story was that she, her parents left her, so she was part of like foster care, and she was just very naughty, and she would be like rowdy. She would like shout at the people looking after her, and like she was basically a rebel. And anytime me and Linda both had this experience, that anytime like we kind of like snap back at our parents or something, they'd be like, you've been watching too much Tracy Beaker. Tracy Beaker has had a bad influence on you.
You know what, like because to be honest, she was for our age, especially because when you're quite young, you mimic a lot of the things that you see. And I think my parents were afraid that I'm mimicking the attitude of Tracy Beaker. So every time I would say something remotely sarcastic or whatever, they'll be like, Tracy Beaker is on you. You're banned from watching it. So you literally
same in my household.
Yeah, and then I would have to go on the iPlayer and like rewatch it or whatever.
And bear in mind, it was for children, so it can't have been that bad.
But she was just being naughty enough that your parents thought of like, they're just like, this is the bad influence. This is what's causing trouble.
Exactly.
I love that was where that your parents were able to pinpoint.
Yeah, exactly. And at one point, my dad used to call me Tracy. That's changing my name to Tracy.
I like the idea that like Tracy became a like not a slur, but like just a term for like troublemaker.
Do you know what? Like everyone in the UK is aware of Tracy Beaker, and a lot of people like it's very funny because she does get up to a lot of stuff, and it's a very British cultural TV show type thing. It was
the story 100%. Of Tracy Beaker. Oh man, I want to watch this now. I was telling Linda when we spoke earlier that like all British television is just like automatically better than American television to me.
Really? Do you like it a lot?
Yo, homie, like leaps and bounds ahead of the stuff they're producing here. The Brits have figured out how to tell concise stories in 6 episodes that the Americans try and figure out how to get halfway through in 24, and you're just like, I
agree. I feel like American shows just kind of drag it on so much when they could.
Just be concise, get to the point.
But the big thing about American television is, and that's one of the reasons I appreciate British television, American television is about advertising. They're looking to sell advertising space. So you want to make 24 episodes because you can sell more ad revenue. Whereas like British television, the BBC was publicly funded initially, right? Or is still largely publicly funded. And they produce some of the best fucking television I've ever watched. And it's like, because it's publicly funded, and then they don't rely on just telling, like, you don't need 100 episodes to tell the story of a will they, won't they. We can do a will they, won't they in 2 like Coupling. I love Coupling. I don't know if you guys watch that show, and because it's an older show, I guess, by Your standards, yeah. You guys are just like, yeah, no, you didn't watch that show. That was for our parents, you old bastard. But I like, I really like, I like genuinely like coupling more than Friends, and people will ask me like, how is that possible? And I'm like, have you ever watched coupling? Because Friends, Ross and Rachel is what, 4 seasons of them trying to get these two together. Coupling is just like, bing bong, okay, they're dating. Here's the story of how cool it is when they're dating and they're friends, and this is just the show, as opposed to a will they, won't they? He was on a break. Oh, God, like,
that's true. So what other shows have you watched, like British shows that you like?
Oh man, The Shadow Line with Eccleston, I watched. That was a really good cop one, really dark. Top Boy, I watched the first season.
Oh, you watched that one? Okay.
Yeah, Top Boy is a pretty, like, the fact that Drake liked it so much that he was just like, yo, we need more seasons of this, and then
made a new.
Yeah, put money to have help be a producer on the next season. I don't necessarily like Drake all that much. It's a whole weird Canadian beef thing, but I
maybe for
I respect the fuck out of anyone who can be like, I like this show, bring it back, and just like throw money at it and get the show to come back. Yeah,
I mean, he can do that, so
yeah,
it's a big issue for him. But I really like Top Boy as well, so
yeah, Top Boy.
I mean,
everyone does like that.
Yeah, it's a good show. Like, that's the thing; it's a quality program. I can't really. There's one British show that I watched that I know no one watched, and it. Oh man. So there was an actor who was on a show called Worst Week of My Life or something, and it's about him and his fiance, and I think they're like Worst Week, because Worst Week of My Life is the British version. The Americans made an American version called Worst Week, which got canceled because, like I was saying, it's horrible. But Worst Week of My Life, the star from that show is a guy that I've seen like on a whole bunch of shows, and he did a TV show where they were the writers of a soap opera that actually aired, and the show would have they would write stories and plots that were happening in their lives into the actual soap opera that was happening. And I thought that was so interesting to have. Ben Miller is the actor.
Okay.
And they like, it's just the idea that you could have 2 shows that are completely separate. One's a soap opera, one's a sitcom, but the stories that we're writing in the comedy sitcom over here are actually going to kind of represent in the soap opera over here, because the whole idea is this guy is a writer for that soap opera. Like, he's in the imaginary writer's room of that soap opera. So you're writing the show on like 3 levels. You have actual writers writing the show who are then giving it to these guys to pretend they're writing the show, and then those stories are still actually ending up in the soap opera, which is being written by a different group of people. And I thought that blew my mind to think there's this many people making this much content. I was so excited about it. So yeah, I geek out on stuff like that the Brits do, because Americans don't do anything that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like BBC especially, like, they used to, I think before, like, they used to provide much better content than what they are now.
Yeah,
I'm not really, because the thing is, we live in the era of Netflix and Disney Plus, etc. So I don't necessarily watch BBC that much, even though I grew up on it, etc. But we do, like, I do personally watch a few shows of, like, The Chaser, like, or whatever. But we don't necessarily have any shows that I would be like.
I mean, there's a few classics that like every British person's watched, like Gavin and Stacey, the In-Betweeners,
In-Betweeners. I love In-Betweeners.
Do you like the In-Betweeners? Yeah, I thought so. In-Betweeners, and actually BBC produced a show that's very similar to the In-Betweeners, but it's kind of like the girl version, and it's called Some Girls. Okay. And if you ever want to see what like school is like in the UK, I think like that's the best show to watch. It's just so funny, and I just love that show so much. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. So
but that's what I mean. Like, I feel like the best ones were back in the day.
Phone Shop is like, I don't know if you guys ever watched Phone Shop, but my buddy and I watched. No, I think it was on ITV maybe, or Channel 4.
Oh, right. Okay.
No, Channel 4. That show. Okay, my buddy and I. There was one episode where we watched it and we were both laughing so hard. My buddy actually had to check if I was breathing because I fell off my chair because I was laughing. I was laughing so hard at it that I stopped breathing properly. And yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it was Phone Shop is just a ridiculous show. I don't know. Like I wish. Like I like there's so much content that I just want them to just keep producing. That's the one thing. The fact that it's like short series, I'm like, I get it and you told the story, but it's like, oh, bring them back. Cuz I think it's cool that you're not locked in for multiple seasons like yeah, cuz here it's just like, oh, you have a show and if you stop the show ever, it's pretty much like that's it. It's not coming back, which is such a weird thing to me. And I like that in the UK, television can be like one season here, 2 years later they'll bring another series. A couple years later.
Yeah, they do that a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in a way, like a lot of shows, they, like you said, because they're very short or have very limited seasons.
Yeah.
When you really enjoy it, you like, oh, I want more. But yeah, you don't really get that a lot.
I found the name of the show I was talking about. It's called Moving Wallpaper, 2008 to 2009.
I've not had. It's so weird. Like, I've not had most of these.
Sounds very British though, with a
maybe more. To be honest, like Linda said, I feel like I don't really watch a lot of BBC shows anymore.
I'm trying to see.
So yeah,
it is like I really do miss, coming back from school, like rushing to get to like watch CBBC or whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's not really like that. Like you just turn on your laptop, go on Netflix or whatever. And just what you want to watch. It's not like actually sometimes when I'm bored, I do scroll down and see like if there's any films on BBC on like Channel 4, ITV or whatever. Like sometimes you get the old like Shrek on or interesting movie that you probably watched, but it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nostalgic.
Back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in this whole conversation, Canadian television hasn't come up because we don't really have a big representation.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I do like Canadian like TV. Like I've watched a few things. Obviously, Degrassi, which is really good. But when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of the Canadian cartoons.
Oh yeah. True.
16.
Yeah.
16 was the popular one. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really, really good cartoon.
I'm so proud that one's popular around the world because that was a really fun. I remember watching it and being like, I wasn't a teenager. I was like definitely an adult at the time, and I was just like, this is a really well written like show for kids. Like I could see why this is entertaining. There wasn't like any major like crazy drug. I mean, it's a cartoon, but it was still a cartoon where they're teenagers and they weren't being depicted insanely young. They were genuinely being depicted at their actual ages, which was pretty cool. Similarly to like Degrassi. So you guys watched the Degrassi with Drake though, not the original Degrassi, right? That's
the Drake ones and beyond.
Man, yeah, Degrassi. And so in Canada, do you guys know about Degrassi in Canada? Like that it had multiple series before that?
Yeah, it's been going on for ages, right?
Yeah. In Canada, it started. It was like Degrassi Street, Degrassi Junior High, Degrassi High, and then that break, and then they came back with Drake and his crew. Yeah.
And then they took another big break, and then now they've come with that Netflix one, right,
yeah,
Linda?
The next class
we watched at one point. It's nowhere near as good as the 2000s ones. Yeah.
Is that one just soap opera-y? Like, it looks like just pure soap opera.
I don't know. I feel like maybe because I'm not a teenager anymore, but it feels very teenagery, but like more preteen. Whereas with the previous seasons of Degrassi, like when I watched it, I didn't get that vibe as much. It felt more natural, kind of. I don't know. But maybe I was younger and watched it. That's why.
I think the actors and actresses in the Netflix one, they just try a little bit too hard and it shows up.
Okay.
And I don't really like that. I like it a little bit natural,
Yeah,
yeah. Like that thing.
Like when I was in university, I was in school with Sarah. I don't know which character she played on Degrassi. The young girl with glasses, a little nerdy.
Oh, you went to school, uni with her?
Yeah, we went to uni with two of them. The dude that was like the nerdy guy with glasses, who was best friends with the guy who dies in the school shooting episode.
Okay, yeah.
And then the mixed girl who wore glasses. Both of them were in uni at the same university as me. And they were both chill, but you could tell like the acting style was very much based on them. Like that was who they were then, and then now they were like adults who were like very different. Especially Sarah. Like Sarah now was just like, glow up was real. That girl is stunning and has the confidence that will just light up a room. Like she would like, I would be in a space where she'd be, and I'd be like, you kind of just look at her like, oh my God. But not even because she was on television, just because if she had never been on television, just who she was, her presence was just like, whoa. And she did definitely have those like piercing eyes too, and wasn't wearing glasses anymore, so they were like even brighter. It's like, you're gonna just cause heart attacks in the room, but you know, whatever. So not having it, I wanted to ask you guys, what are, because I heard you guys have a list that you keep, which is smart, because I mean, doing my podcast, the other podcast that I do, I realize we never keep a list or a record of the stuff that we discuss. I mean, I guess we have the outline for before, but then sometimes we talk about stuff in the show and we don't add to the list to remind us, like, oh, we've already covered this. So I feel like sometimes when I listen back, there's a little bit of repetition. But from that list, do you guys, like, what would be your top 2 or top 3 not having it? Like, that you look at the list and you're just like, oh, man, those 3, I will never have it with those. Like,
I think me and Paniz, especially as we use the list, is due to the fact that every week we have different scenarios that are happening in our lives. So whether, you know, something good happens, something bad, etc. So usually we keep the list there to remind us of like things that have happened in the week that we want to discuss. Just because I'm very forgetful. Like, I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Like, actually, I had pizza, but there we go. Yeah, but so we generally remind ourselves like that. But top 3 not having it moments.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, that is a hard one. I feel like
I got to bring the hard questions, folks.
Yeah. No, of course. Well done. I feel like right now, I don't think I'll ever be having it, with the fact that like we're living in this situation right now. And I feel like for many years to come, we'll definitely not be having it with this, because we've wasted, you know, well, some of us have, like, you know, are still productive, etc. But it's just, to me, it's not the freedom that I want. So it's, to me, it's seen as a waste. So just like not being able to do what you want, I just feel like even going back to it and thinking that, oh man, like for 3-4 months I was like inside doing, not being able to do what I want to do. It's just, I don't think I'll ever be having it with that.
I think with me also, it's definitely the main one right now is not having it with the coronavirus and quarantining and everything. And I think that's probably everyone's not having it right now. But if I had to say 2 other ones, I think I'm always just not having it with bad weather. I'm like, I don't know if you know this, Brian, but I hate cold weather so much, and we live in London, so it's not, you know, the best situation. So
I'm so sad
I'm not having it with cold weather.
Montreal has some of the coldest days, and at least in the winter. We once had a February that was -40 for a week.
What?
Yeah. What's the average cold temperature where you guys are in the winter?
The coldest, I mean,
it can go to a minus.
But it will be like -5 max, like max.
That's it?
Yeah. And we complain.
I don't like that. Let me just tell you. I know. I think I'm not sure, but I think in Canada, especially, like the winters are quite cold, but the summers are quite nice as well. Is that true?
Yeah,
that's
so
what I think.
Montreal goes from -40, like the coldest I've ever experienced was a -45 day, and the hottest I've ever had was like a +40 something day.
Yeah. You see, with us, which is why we don't have it with the weather, is the fact that we're on a 15-degree weather, whether it's summer, winter, autumn, spring.
You never know what's going on. Like, we don't get that hot weather, and we get cold, not extremely cold, like Montreal cold, but cold. And then summer is just like, it can be 20 degrees, and suddenly it'll be like 37, then suddenly it'll be like 15.
Whoa.
You know.
It's very, like, it changes a lot. And I think it's just not having a stable, like, for example, when you go away on holiday for 2 weeks or whatever, whether you go to Spain, Italy, whatever, you wake up every day and you're like, okay, it's summer. The worst weather is probably like you know, a sprinkle of rain.
Yeah.
Whether the UK, you never know that. It could be 35 degrees yesterday, and then today it will be 15. And
very accurate. It's so true. Yeah.
Shit, man. I wonder what it like. I don't know anything about weather patterns over there. Yeah. I mean, over here it's just weird. It's a weird situation. Like, but you get so used to it. Like, we have in the winter, so even on those cold days, we have a festival called Igloo Fest that's done by a pier, where in the middle of winter, like every weekend in January and February, I think, they have DJs from around the world come and DJ outdoors to people in snowsuits, dancing in minus 30 degree weather, just like raving.
Wow.
Like full on pastel color, like snowsuits, jumping up and down. Everyone's drinking. The first year, I only went 1 year, and Jägermeister was the sponsor. So everyone was drinking Jägermeister or wearing Jägermeister hats and toques. And yeah, it's just really crazy.
Wow.
I was going to tell you, like, I feel like the cold weather in that situation, because I was going to say, you should come to Montreal in the winter. And I say that, and I know you don't like the cold, but I always tell people, the first time you come to Montreal, come in the winter, because when you come back in the summer, you will appreciate the fuck out of it when it is really nice. Because if you come in the summer, you're automatically going to be like, this is wonderful. But then when you come in the winter, you will hate the city because it's just snow everywhere and it's cold as hell and it's just like shut down. But if you come in the winter and have a good time, when you come back in the summer, you're just like, oh, this place bangs all year round, and that's fun.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I've always actually wanted to come to Canada. I feel like I'd really like it there. I mean, excluding the cold weather, I feel like it's just like a really nice place.
Yeah. If you're, I feel like with here, we've never see snow, so I think that would be a very nice.
I have seen enough snow in my lifetime that I definitely could go without ever seeing it again. Like I've actually seen snow piled so high that it blocks doorways, and you have to shovel out of doors.
Oh my god, that's a lot of snow.
Yeah. And that's a norm. Like that's sometimes there's some winters where that's just normal. Like there's that much snow.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I was going to ask you something about Canada. So
yeah,
I know like Canadians are known for being very friendly with each other and everything like that. Yeah. But I didn't know that apparently when you guys like go for a walk or something, everyone says hi to each other. Apparently, is that real?
In Montreal, in a bigger city like Montreal, probably not. Like,
right.
I'm a weirdo who would do that. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I'm the type of person that like. I mean, so I do the black nod. I don't know if you guys know what the black nod is, but but like I do the black nod usually to older people because younger people don't tend to do it as much anymore. And people from other places, like my cousin from the Caribbean, for example, when I was telling her like, yeah, you know, she's just like, people keep nodding at me in the street, and I'm just like, yeah, they're giving you the black nod. She's just like, I don't know these people. Why would I nod at them? I'm just like. Wait, do you not do the nod back home? And then I realized no, because everyone's black around her. So if every person around you is black, you're just going to be breaking your neck nodding. But here, because it's like a smaller community, like, you know, I see an older gentleman and I'll just nod out of respect. But then sometimes if I'm in public and I just feel like saying hi to someone, I genuinely, like one of my closest friends, I was just talking about her this morning, actually. I met her at a bus stop admiring a mural that was being painted on a building, and I turned to her and I was like, that's going to be epic when it's done. She's just like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then we ended up talking on the bus. We exchanged our Twitter handles, became friends, have been friends ever since, and I was the only non-family member to be invited to her baby shower when she just had her baby shower recently. And her boyfriend was just like, yeah, she said she really wants you to be there. And I was just like, yo, that's dope. I'd been to one baby shower before. I had no clue what to expect. That family ragged on me like crazy. I was the butt of many of the jokes. So they're just like, oh, there's someone who's not blood here. We're going to tease this dude. So, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So, but yeah, that just came from me talking randomly at a bus stop. And I'm that type of person.
I feel like that's where like the UK is. I mean, I don't think the whole of the UK is like this. It's London that's known. It's known for how unfriendly everyone is to each other. Like even when you're sitting on the tube, like people don't. If you talk on the tube, everyone just looks at you weirdly. Like Yeah.
Really?
So it's just so different, I guess.
Like
Yeah.
when you say talk on the tube, like if you're talking to your friend or if you just like.
And if you're talking loudly to your friend, then they'll probably give you a look. But
Yeah.
do you know what? Like a lot of people, for me personally, I'm that type of person that would say hello to someone as well. I'm very much, I wave or whatever, like not wave. I don't just go like, I would just say like hello if it's like an elderly person, whatever.
Yeah.
Like if we're making that eye contact and like I see a smile coming along,
Oh, at least smile,
yeah. Or like I'm a big smiler as well. So if I sit opposite next to someone on the tube, they're right next to me, it's very rude for me not to smile. So I'll smile at them. But I just don't go doing that to everyone. But I feel like in this country, like where we are now in the UK, in London, people it's a very different culture because people here mind their business.
Yeah, it's very like I'll mind my own business kind of attitudes. Yeah, so when it comes to like someone else talking, etc., it's very like I don't want this to be loud enough for me to know what you're talking about. Like I just want to mind my business. Yeah. That's a good
that kind of thing.
Has it changed now that everyone's wearing headphones? Like I feel like earpods, no one's even paying attention to anybody. Like they're just listening to something.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even feel like if you talk loudly, they will give. I don't know. You have strange people I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes very strange people everywhere. You like, so there's always gonna be that one weird person like doing something strange, and everyone's there just like trying to ignore it. But it's very, like with me and Linda, we would just start laughing, whereas most people would be there like reading their book or like.
They're just like I'm sitting there like, how can you not laugh right now? Like,
So I actually mentioned this on one of the podcasts. Do you remember like I was on the tube one time and I think what did I say? Was it the guy singing really loud? No, he'd got a water bottle and he was just playing drums and singing along, and it was just crazy. And I was there like trying not to laugh so hard, and everyone was just minding their own business if this is not going on in the background.
Oh, okay, 100%. We would have been friends then, because I am the guy with the water bottle on the subway, like just like sometimes vibing out. And if I saw you laughing, I'd been like, "What up?" Because that is
this is where we where the difference is, because a British person would not really do that unless they're drunk. They would not approach you.
If you get on the tube late at night, it's a different vibe. It's a different. If you get on the tube when everyone's going home from work or going into work, that's when everyone's like, I'm just not
like falling asleep, rolling off each other. But going back to the earphone stuff, I feel like because people are now minding their business, a lot of people don't want to mind their business, so they'll peek through your phone and see what you're up to.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll be like, oh, who's this person texting? Or whatever. And we don't have wireless. A lot of people are like pre-reading messages or pre-writing emails or whatever. And I feel like there's a lot of nosy people out there. Not in the UK like, specifically, but like in a lot of other people, in a lot of other places. They're just very like, they want to peek through and just see like what you're doing.
And I also think it's because people are bored, so they unintentionally to end up looking over your shoulder and they're like, oh,
they
sorry.
don't have wireless, so Wi-Fi, so they just they just want to look out somewhere, whatever.
You guys don't have any like network in the tube. Have they ever talked about putting the network in the tube so that people?
I think because it's like underground, it's very difficult to bring a network in there. But at every stop, you have like 2 seconds to connect, get a message, and then ready to send it onto the next stop.
That's
you gotta do it like that,
Yeah, because here in Montreal, we didn't have it in our subway system. But also, mind you, your subway system, the underground, is far more complex. Ours looks like a Fisher-Price designed our subway system. Like the map is actually in Fisher-Price colors. It's like green, orange, yellow, blue. And it's just like those 4 lines on the island of Montreal, and that's it. Yeah, but they connected the major downtown corridor, as they call it, on the green line and the orange line. Both have internet, and then the orange line, most of the orange line has service the whole way through. So even when you're underground, you can stay connected, which I guess it's good and it's bad. I mean, I'm the type that like now, because it's connected, I just stay on my phone. I end up watching like something on Netflix, which is probably not good for me. But before, I would actually try and find something other than my phone to look at. But going back to what you said, Linda, real quick, yes, the people, the looky-loos who like lean over and read people's phones. My favorite thing is one time someone was doing that to me, and I pulled up like weird creepy horror pictures on my phone explicitly.
Oh my gosh.
And then I started typing a text message to like a fake text message to a friend being like, this is a picture how I want to look this year. I think I'm going to change my whole vibe, and just writing really weird stuff. Cause I noticed the person's head just kept like turning into me.
That's the best way to deal with it.
Yeah.
You got
Why have I never thought of that?
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if you go on the tube, majority of the people have their brightness so low that they can't even see their phone.
Oh, damn.
I do that as well, and I can't even see what I'm doing anymore. Or like if you're watching a show and there's like a weird scene in it or something like that, you're like, oh no, like
yo, 100%. I don't remember what show I was watching, but there was a nude scene all of a sudden, and I'm like fumbling with my phone, like stop, and I'm like looking around to be like, please, I'm not a perverted person. It's a stupid show. Yeah, that's mad embarrassing.
I started when Paniz first told me to watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's very funny, but obviously there are some scenes where it's very a bit too much. So I'm on the tube and I have the full brightness up, and I'm like, I want to see it. I don't want to just like squint my eyes and be like, can I see this? Can I not? And there's this guy, and he is looking over at my phone, and he sees it, and I was like, do you know what? You're just gonna have to
enjoy.
To deal with it. And then the men come out and they're like, you got you.
Yes. My favorite my favorite thought right now is just the idea that this man looked over, saw that, and said, that's what I want to be. Like, you just changed his life. His whole life changed. That would be amazing.
Love that. But like there are certain situations where reading people's phone like actually causes issues, because like one of my friends, she, with this whole coronavirus, we were still not in lockdown, and she was on the phone, and there was a lady sitting in front of her on the bus or something. So she must have been saying, my friend must have been talking to her mother that's in a different country, and just saying like, be careful, like wash your hands, this, that. And the girl, so because she's like looking down at her, had written like, oh, like this person in the bus like next to me is talking about like coronavirus. She better not have it, otherwise I'm gonna punch her.
The fuck?
Yeah. So then she's like, excuse me. So as she's about to leave the bus, she's like, come on, punch me. Come on, punch me.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, like just reading someone's message, it can cause a whole fight.
Yo,
that you weren't even part of, because she wasn't even saying anything to you. It just makes me laugh.
Yo, I love that. I love that kind of energy of just like, oh, you want to punch me? Come on, bitch. Let's go.
But I was like, you only said that because you were getting off the bus.
Yeah, like I say earlier.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it can cause issues. So just,
it's true.
Everyone should mind their business.
Yeah. Well, do you like? I'm amazed that the privacy screens are not more popular, because you can get like that screen protector that's a privacy screen.
I had one, but the one thing that I found from it is you have to have the brightness pretty high up to see in like dark places.
Yeah.
So it drains your battery like crazy. And
okay.
Like how long am I roughly on a public transport? Like 30 to 40 minutes maximum a day. No, just like one way and then one way back. But it's just like, it's not enough for me to have it constantly. Okay. If it was like a shield that you can put on like just for a few hours and take it off, then perfect. But
okay,
it drains your battery like crazy.
That's true. I didn't think about that. And then you don't have your phone, and you're charging your phone every 2 seconds, all because you have a piece of film over your.
And then you have to have a portable charger, and then that will like eventually ruin your battery, etc. So we have all these other problems from it.
It's easier to just keep the screen low and start fights.
Yeah.
But going back to the not having it, actually, what are you not having it with?
Yeah.
So things I'm not having it with. Did I say it when we were on air about my neighbors upstairs? Or
I don't think that was on air. That was on air.
That was?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So I recently moved into a new place, and the couple upstairs, very nice. I've met them. Not enough to actually talk to them, but more like, oh, hi, we moved in below you. They're fitness people. Like, bless their souls. You know, they both look like very fit, good-looking couple. But I imagine that in this coronavirus quarantine world, that it's a little difficult for them. So they have been working out from home, and they're easily doing 100 burpees or whatever that is, in which they just drop to the floor, and all you hear from our floor is just like and again, because they're fitness people, they have so much fucking stamina that they just go at it. Actually, now I think about it, are they having sex? No, anyway, it makes more sense that it's burpees.
if they carry on doing that, they might even drop down and
imagine if they just break.
Hello, welcome. Let's do one together.
Oh my God.
Do a second together. That's funny. No, definitely not having it with that. Not having it with any type of neighbor noise. To be honest, like people like. Sometimes we have like grass cutters and like.
Oh my God, don't get me started.
Like, in the morning.
This is like, nah.
Yeah, he's not having it with that.
Yeah.
But, bright and early, and they're just.
They did this to me yesterday at 8 a.m.
God damn.
They started making that noise, and I'm just like, everyone's in lockdown, everyone's home. Why are you doing this?
I was just gonna say.
You have the whole day to do this. I was not having that.
The other thing that I'm not having is quarantine thirst, or corn thirst, as I'm calling it. Just the insane thirst that people are having with reaching out to exes. And I'll explain it on two fronts. I'm not having it with corn thirst as in being approached, and I'm not having it with corn thirst as in people approaching everyone, because when I reach out to friends or like exes to genuinely see how they're doing, they automatically assume I'm thirsty, and they're just like, sliding in my DMs on. I'm like, no, you had severe anxiety and once cried in front of me when you said the world's a mess. I wanted to know how you're doing in a quarantine situation, because that last time I was really concerned when I spoke to you. I was just like, she doesn't seem okay, and now this situation is making people feel even worse. So I was just like, I hope she's okay. And then the reaction was kind of just like sliding in my DMs. I was like, okay, delete. I didn't even reply. So.
Yeah, I mean, if they're being nice about it and, purely platonic and just, want to see how you are, then that's fine. But, we have better things to be doing. We don't care.
What's it been like for you?
If you want to declare your feelings, I don't care.
So, I say this as diplomatically as possible, but you're both very attractive women, and this is a quarantine situation. I imagine your DMs are equivalent to Santa's mailbox at Christmas.
No, I actually have a boyfriend, so I'm good.
Go.
I'm good.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm not that busy in that front. Like, I'm too busy doing other things, too busy Netflixing. So they can write, but it's not being.
Linda ain't gonna reply. That's the difference.
Yet, so
You're gonna give it no attention to it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not having it.
Yeah. Not having that.
Like fan mail, I can come, but it's just
y'all can reach, but I ain't answering that door.
Yeah.
That is amazing. The last thing I'm not having it with, and this is something that came up, I was watching the show Black AF, and we were talking about kids getting participation awards, and I was trying to explain to my partner like how I don't really like participation awards, because I feel like it creates this, it does this weird thing where some parents, and I'm not saying all, and I'm not a parent myself, so I shouldn't judge, but some parents don't feel the need to, like, when you were a kid and you lost at something in the 80s and early 90s, your parents would actually tell you, like, it's okay, you tried, you did your best, blah, blah. But now, because kids are being given participation awards, the parents are just like, cool story, someone's gave him an award, he did his part, I don't care. And they just don't say anything. Like, this kid lost, and it might be feeling down about it, but they give them this like little shiny piece of paper, and they're just like, at least I got this. And I feel like the conversation about like actually the effects of losing, but trying and not giving up is important. So, and then the flip side of that is I realized that culture came out of a world of social media, and like where the teams that win get like Facebook pages dedicated to them, and the kids that go to the pizza party always used to go to a pizza party, but now there's like 100 pictures of them at the pizza party celebrating with their trophy, and all the kids who didn't win are like, oh, I didn't get anything. So now we give them a piece of paper to be like, but you still at least get this. And I'm not having it with that whole mentality.
No. Yeah, I don't agree with that either. I don't.
Do they do that a lot here? Give participation awards? I don't like. To be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was never one of those people that was involved in a lot of competitions. I'm gonna be honest, especially because like I feel like most of the time it's with sports.
Yeah.
And like sports activities. I was never very. I was into football and basketball, but like, did we get? I think we did get participation awards.
I feel like in sports we definitely didn't. Like it was very competitive in the sense of like, because I was a big sports person, so I still am to this day, but not as much. But especially like sports day or something, I was always out there doing my best. So I know that I got some sort of reward because I would be winning. But the rest of the people, I'm not
flex,
really
flex.
I think they got participation certificate or anything like that. Even like with competitive like science or whatever type competitions, it was just like if you were top 3, then you would get something.
Yeah.
No one cared.
Yeah, we don't really get participation awards here. I've heard that a lot about, I think, the States and probably Canada as well, like you say.
Yeah.
But I don't think they actually do that a lot here. I might be wrong.
Well, in that case, not having it for North America, because we definitely... I think that whole approach is teaching kids a really weird lesson, because like...
Yeah, I agree with you, because like you take a piece of paper and you're like, okay, I got this. Now I don't need to try and get this.
Yeah. And also like it also makes you think that you're gonna get praise for everything you do in life, when that's not the case. It's not realistic. And while I see why they do it to make the kids feel better, at the same time it kind of downplays what someone that won has done to get to where they are. So I get what you mean. I'm not.
And again, like the parents can have that conversation with the kids when they lose. Like my parents had that conversation with me when I would lose at stuff, and that was fine. I did, the piece of paper. I don't think you should replace that conversation with a piece of paper. That's all. Yeah.
I don't think. Going back to like the whole loser thing, I don't think I was a very sore loser, so I didn't really care.
Same.
Every time I would lose, I would just be like, okay.
I don't have a competitive bone in my body, and some people hated that because unlike you, Linda, but much like you, Paniz, I did not do sports. I would not even basketball or football or American football or anything. Brian, like badminton. Badminton was the one game that I played, and I was a lazy badminton player, as in my serve was so good that I often won just off of serves. So then I didn't have to move around much, and that's the laziest way you can play. So even then, I was being lazy. And if I lost at something, I'd be like, meh. And people would get so mad. Like competitive people are not having it with people who aren't competitive because they get mad.
That's very true. I agree.
Because I think they just feel like if no one's competing for this, then what's the point in that?
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, Linda, because we went to the same school, but like during PE, there was always that one student who thought, this was the Olympics, every and I was just like, it's year 8 PE, like you'll be fine.
I treated sports very seriously. Like I remember they had like a gym like after school, and I would go there and I'd be like working out. And I think it's just because like I was good at it. Like a lot of things in life, when you're good at it, you just love it even more. I think. So I think that's what happened with me. But going back to the competitive thing for a second, I was never competitive, right? And my mum, she would always not be having it with me because of that. She would be like, "Why are you not competitive? Are you not like, angry that like, you know, these people are doing this? And I'm like, no, I don't care. And she's like, this is where the issue is.
Yeah.
What do you mean? She really wanted me to compete, because I think a lot of parents want you to compete because they think that will motivate and push you further. And I think in a lot of cases that's not the case, because
I agree.
It might even push you off the competitive stuff altogether.
100. My mom put me in the Air Cadets here in Montreal when I was younger, and that made me hate doing anything remotely close to military. Like, just the idea. I was just like, Mom, you made me go to a place where we march for an hour. I don't want to do this. Why are you making me do this? It will help you with discipline. No, it's making me hate my life. I don't want to go there.
This is literally the same. Like my little brother, my dad was very, like, when he was younger, he liked football a lot.
Yeah.
And like me and my older brother, all my family really liked football.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, great sport.
And I played it. My older brother played it. So automatically, when my little brother was old enough, we took him to football club.
Yeah.
And he liked it at first, but then I think he started growing out of it a little bit. And my dad would kind of not force him, but like take him there and be like, you're going to football club. And he just would stand around, and my dad describes it as like spinning around like a ballerina and not doing anything. And when he would come home, my dad would be like, why weren't you playing good enough? Like, this is not you. Like, I know how much you can do, whatever. And he was like, I just don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. He was like, yeah, but your friend's doing it. Aren't you, like, don't you want to be like your friend?
That's the thing. Once we took competition out of it, my friends and I used to play American football on Fridays after school in high school, and it was just for fun. It was not for any victory. Like, sure, one team would win, and I love that. Like, I learned so much about, I could hit a perfect spiral with a football and bomb it down the field, and like, it was great. And then, but the second it was just like when I moved to the suburbs, there was a period of time where I was living in the suburbs here in Montreal, and the suburbs here have a lot of American football like teams, like local teams for like teens, and almost like young adults, because some of these guys are like 17, 18 playing on these teams. And all these coaches would come into the store I worked, which is like an office supply store, and they would come up to me and be like, pat me on the back. Perfect strangers, by the way. They'd be like, hey, son, ever thought about playing football? And I'm just like, no. What? Who are?
Really?
What? Yeah, when I was 16, these creepy old dudes were just constantly like, it felt like they were hitting on me because they just kept coming up to me and like patting me on the back, or like, you know, like one guy, I remember he needed a box of paper, and I took like the full, you know, the like 1,000 sheet like big ream box thing, and I'm like, I lift it up and I'm like carrying it, and the guy like puts his hand on my shoulder. He's just like, strong stock. You should play football. And I'm like holding the box. I'm like, stop touching me. Like, why leave me alone?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
competitive sometimes not it.
No.
yeah, I'm not having it with competition. Sorry.
Yeah, because then, as I said, like, it would just, in some kids, like, it would just make them not want to do it anymore. So it's very, like, you have to be very careful on how you lure a kid to want to do something.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like that a lot of those kids that from a young age become very competitive, when they're older, they're just competing in everything, you know. And I feel like those people like find it hard to have friends as well, because I feel like those kind of people are always competing with even their own friends sometimes.
Yeah, social life and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, people like me more in our friend crew. It's like, whoa, calm down. Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
So not having it with that.
Love it. I love that that's like a perfect line at the end of every sentence.
Yeah, legit. You can use it whenever. Like, you can just.
I hope you don't mind.
Do you guys use it in Canada? Not having it, or is it very English sounding?
Oh yeah, no, it sounds very English. I've never heard anyone say it here, like not having. I was just like, not having what? Like, like. But then like I got like, as soon as I listened to your show and like the description and stuff, I was like, oh, I get it. They're not having, and then insert random silly unfortunate thing that's happening, and then I was just like, this is dope.
I don't know if you've noticed, but basically on our logo, at the bottom, we have
1898.
Yeah, 1898. And the reason for this
Yes.
is Linda Paniz would always make memes, right?
Yeah.
And in those memes would always be like, I'm not having it since 1978. And we'll be like, everyone else would be so confused. They'll be like, you weren't even alive then. And we were like, I've been not having it since before
I was born.
So we would always constantly come in with those types of dates. And then we were just like, right, it has to be incorporated there.
Yeah. Everyone always asks, everyone's like, what does that mean? And I'm just like, you just won't get it.
But I did, the first time I saw it, because I only noticed it afterwards, and I remember thinking the first time just like, oh my God, that's amazing. They're not having it since before they were even a thought. And I was just like, that's so good. That is so good.
Yes, you got it. You got it.
Yeah. I thought it was amazing.
It's like a little teaser in there. Like, it's kind of like, will you get it? Will you not get it?
Yeah.
If you don't, but if you do,
if you get it, you're automatically part of the crew, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I'm so happy to be part of the crew.
Yes.
Oh, you're very welcome here.
Well, I'm actually, it's funny. I was supposed to go to the UK at the end of this year.
Oh, really?
Well, I think so. My cousin lives in London. He's a bodyguard over there, and he was supposed to come to Montreal at the end of March, and then he said he was also moving after, and then he was just like, yeah, I'm gonna come see your place, and then I'm gonna go down to Miami, and then I'm gonna head back to the UK, and then at the end of the year I'm doing my birthday, and then we'll all meet up in the Caribbean, and then after that you might be able to come through, take longer vacation, and come back to London and spend some time, because I've never been to London, and he's lived there since he was 17, and he's my older cousin, so. And it sucks. And this year was supposed to be the year that I was supposed to go. My partner, she's been dying to go to Scotland. She's been asking me for years, and I was just like, sure. I mean, I don't really know much about Scotland, but I know there's Irish in my family on my mom's side, but not
Scotland is a beautiful place.
Oh my God, yeah.
People are really nice as well.
Yeah.
I love Scottish
people are like.
Aww.
They're so nice.
Yeah, I feel like the Canadians of North America. They're like the Canadians of the UK.
That's awesome. Yeah. My partner is like, she really, really wants to go to Scotland. And at one point when we first started dating, we had an idea to go, and we started planning it and all this stuff. But then we moved, and there's a whole bunch of expenses, and I regret that we didn't go that year, because now. Who knows what traveling is going to be like? Like, good God.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Hopefully, we'll be able to resume some sort of normality.
Yeah.
Within our lives, but
if you wanted to go at the end of the year as well, but hopefully by then. I mean, I'm hoping by the end of the year everything will go back to normal. So. You might still have a chance.
Yeah. But do you think the new normal is going to be the same as it was? Like, I don't want to be on a plane with a bunch of... I never want to be on a flight with a sold out flight. Like, I don't trust these people.
Yeah.
Me and Linda were talking about this earlier.
Why we, you obviously joined in, but we asked a few questions on what did you do pre-quarantine that you will not do after, once this is all over?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying handshakes, let's unnormalize handshakes, because it's very you're into a meeting and you're automatically kind of asked to handshake this man that you
please
or this
touch
woman
this other person that you don't know.
Yeah. It's a bit weird, we don't know what you've
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really weird thing, and I think I don't know if it will ever be the way it was. I really don't, and I feel like it's so sad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was never one for concerts. I'm not big on concerts, but
I am.
Yeah. I mean, the concerts, and that's it, right? I'm not big on concerts, but I know a lot of people are, and they're saying that the tour and concert industry is not gonna start back until fall 2021, because they're saying it's gonna take so long, all the venues, all the lost money and revenue.
With this whole situation, I feel like there's one thing to figure out, how to stop the spread of the virus and how to prevent a lot of situations happening, and a vaccine, for example. But then there's also the sense of people trusting it, like people trusting to be like, because, you know, if someone says to you, hit your head on a wall, you won't listen to it, right? So it's kind of like that in the sense of like the government asking us to like go back to normal, but a lot of people are not going to be they're going to be very skeptical.
Oh yeah. I'm skittish as fuck to go out. Yeah. I'm like, even at my work, you know, hopefully they told me that the layoffs are temporary and they would like to bring me back. I've been there a couple years and I would love to go back, but even there, the like every desk is like connected. Like we all sit literally next to each other, and on my team, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're like 9 people in a row, just desk to desk to desk next to each other, and the tables are about, I don't know, 5 feet wide, so not even as much as my wingspan. So like I could definitely, like, my Julie, who's the person that sits next to me, bless her, shout outs to Julie, she's a DJ Ruby Jane, shout out. But like she's arm length. Like if I just stick my arm out like this, I'm touching her, and then that's the whole way down. And that to me, bless her, but you know, we shouldn't all be sitting that close to each other in small spaces. So, and
it's weird because before this, you wouldn't even think about it. Like back to the whole tube. So in the UK, the tube gets really busy when it's rush hour. Like people are stuck together, and I'm just thinking, like, once everything goes back to normal and everyone goes back to work and stuff, like I don't even know if I'm going to be comfortable going on the tube like that. Do you know? Because everyone is stuck together. Like, how is that going to play out?
I think car sales are going to go up. I do. I think people are going to start buying cars again, unfortunately, which is
the unfortunate situation with us in London is that the price to actually get into like London is absolutely crazy. And also like they've put a lot of like emissions
restrictions,
congestion charge
restrictions type things, like it has to be a hybrid, etc. Like it's very electric or hybrid. So it's very difficult, but also it's very like cost worthy to drive into London, which is why a lot of people, like, we are in London, but like in the where everything is, it's just really
King's
expensive.
Cross is what I heard, right? Is that the right term? King's Cross? I don't know anything. I've never been.
I mean, King's Cross, exactly. But all the like really big offices, like the main part of like business, it's just too difficult to get into that with a car.
And there's no parking. There's no parking in central London, and you're not going to find it. And if you do, it's super expensive.
And if you get like if you get like an Uber, and it is like it's like door to door type thing. It's not like you will, unless you're like the Prime Minister, you're not actually going to have a car drive you all the way where you need to be.
So you guys have tariffs like in London. There's tariffs going in from like outer London into inner London. Like tolls, I mean, like you have to pay.
There's like there's like this incredible I think if you're it's like a £12 a day type thing, and it has to be like at a specific time as well, and I think it can get higher depending on what type of car you have. Now you have to go through the government page and put your car details and like, what is it, like a diesel or whatever, and that way it will calculate how much you have to pay daily
just to drive into central London.
And parking is out of the question because there's no free parking, and there's no parking even if you want to pay for it.
But even if you want to pay for it, you're going to spend like half your salary on that parking.
There's no point. Like, you literally can't.
Oh, damn. I mean, that's good. I mean, I see what they were trying to do. It's just that in a pandemic situation where no one feels comfortable in a tight space, if you can't take the tube to get to work because it's too crowded and it's going to give everyone anxiety, and when people can't drive, what's going to be the alternative? Because here, like, we don't have any of those types of restrictions. I mean, that's one of the problems in Canada. I know that a lot of people have been pushing for the Trudeau, the Prime Minister, to like put in more restrictions because there's, the emission issues and whatnot. But I mean, like there in front of my house, there's 4 parking spots all the time, and I live 10 minutes away from downtown Montreal by car. But that's the thing. I'm more than happy to take the subway because there's 2 subway stations near where I live, and I could just walk over to the subway and hop on the metro. But I don't feel as comfortable being in a tight underground space with circulated, recycled air where Lord knows, especially after this whole situation, it's going to be really hard. It's going to take a lot of time and everyone's going to be wearing masks. We're all going to look like dope ninjas.
And unfortunately, like, our tubes are very frequent as well. Like, you get one in every, like, 2 minutes also. Yeah. So the fact that they're so frequent
and they're still
to the point where, like, it's impossible to have, like, more frequency unless, like, you miss, I don't know, you miss box or whatever. And the fact that it's so frequent and so many people get on at the same time as well, and it's literally like that for the whole of rush hour is an issue, because, like, I don't know how they're going to manage that unless like they have like strict rules on how many people get on the tube.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that is super interesting, because I've honestly, I that's one of the things, like you were saying, what's one of the things that I'm going to do differently? Yeah, public transit's definitely going to be one of those things that I'm going to really think about. And, like I was saying, we have minus 40-degree weather sometime, so you have to take some sort of transportation. But I know cyclists who cycle in Montreal in the winter in minus 30-degree weather. Like, they have, they have bicycles with special tires. They wear like full-on special winter gear suits and goggles and head like really specific helmets. And you see them all the time riding around in the snow, on ice, on these bikes. And I'm wondering if that's going to become more common when winter comes and people are scared to get into the subway again, because, like we're saying, it's going to be, we're skittish. People are going to be a little concerned about doing some of that stuff. So, and
I feel like with businesses as well, like, I've read a lot of articles on, like, a lot of businesses are thinking about not reopening their offices,
just to work from home.
Yeah, because they feel like the motivation and productivity of people is higher when they're not in their office.
Oh, interesting.
But it could also, that could also be a wrong statistic, because a lot of people right now are bored, so they're paying more attention to their work. So that could also be.
That's me. Yeah, that's me.
That's me. I'm bored. I'm working because there's nothing to do right now. Yeah.
Honestly, like, I'm not motivated, and with me, I'm one of those people that like to do loads of, like, I get bored very quickly. So the fact that you used to wake up, go to work, run around at work, come home, do your own thing, like, I liked that. Whereas if I have to wake up every day, go to the desk, do work, come back to my bed, it's just like boring for me,
Yeah. I agree. I mean, my job was the type of job that I easily could do from home almost every day. But I love going into my office. I do. I'm the guy that when they were just like, does anyone in the office want to like help with the social media clips and like do little things? I'm the guy that said yes. And there's like, if you go to my work's IG page, there's videos of me being like, hi guys, I'm Brian Holiday and I work at this place. It's fun. Like, I'm that dorky, like, super keen weirdo who's in the videos. But I liked it. It was a lot of fun doing that job. So, that's the office is a cool vibe. We have great people, and the whole idea of working from home all the time. I know there's a lot of people who want to work from home, and if that's an option, by all means. But if anything, that works out, right? Like, if we can figure out, we just landed on a good thing. If everyone could figure out who likes to work from home and who likes to work from the office, and people who like working from home can work from home, and the people who like working from the office work from the office, we split it up, and there's less people going into the office. That could be beneficial.
Exactly. I was thinking the other day, like, it's going to be really difficult to actually get people to go back to work, like, and motivate them enough to be at work. Like, the fact that, so many people are used to a certain type of lifestyle now, to actually go back to this so-called normality and, like, go back to work. It's going to be really challenging for a lot of companies, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%.
My work wifey the other day was saying, like, I had anxiety about this whole situation and working from home, and now I have anxiety about going back to work. And I was just like, oh, she's just like, yeah, it completely flipped. I've gone into a routine at home now. I like working. I like my cat sitting on my lap while I'm doing my stuff. And then at the end of the day, I like, just relaxing and figuring out what I'm going to do to, like, distract myself. But the idea of like going back into the office and sitting next to people and people being near me and going on the bus or the subway, it makes me anxious, more anxious now than the whole situation. I was like, oh, that's a good point, you know? So
No, that's very true, actually. Like, I think even with me, even though I do want to go into work, like I can't think about getting on the tube and just going back outside again, you know, without all the anxiety around it.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I feel like there's two things that could happen, right? Either people are going to get really fed up and they're going to be like, right, we're going to rebel even if we get it, whatever. Or there's going to be like really like scared people and people that are just going to be a bit like wary of certain situations. I think if I'm contained any longer, I might be a rebelling one. It's just, you know,
I will admit, being in my 20s, if I was in my early 20s when I like, being stuck at home every day, because like single 20-year-old Brian was all about talking to every attractive person he could talk with, and it just sounds like this would suck. I would very much not be happy just being at home all the time. Because DMs.
We're actually talking.
I was gonna say DMs didn't exist back then.
Yeah, Paniz made me laugh with her birthday situation. You can
because I was like, as soon as I turned 23, you know, we went into quarantine, and I kind of wanted refunds because I'm not experiencing being 23, and you know, I feel like it's like the worst time. But any 20-something-year-old is like, I think the worst of all to be in quarantine, because your days feel limited as like when you're in your 20s, right? You just and like you can't see your friends. I can't see my boyfriend. I haven't seen him since like for 2 months now.
Oh, damn.
And it's just like, it's hard, but we have to make do. We have to make
How serious is the lockdown in the UK? Like, I know so I've been in my place just quarantining, right? So I haven't really been paying attention, but I found like my friend in Ontario, because I'm in the province of Quebec, and my friend who lives in the province next to us, Ontario, was like asking me, he's just like, yo, how are you dealing with this? And I was like, what do you mean? He's just like, people are calling the cops on each other in Quebec. Like, they're giving out fines. Like, and then my partner was just like, yeah, didn't you know there's like essentially borders, like coming in and out of Montreal, there's like police barricades. I was like, what? Like, I didn't know any of that stuff was happening. So I've just been innocently sitting here, you know, playing video games, and people are telling me, oh, you live in a police city now. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
So what's it like in London?
I think, to be honest, I haven't actually been around, but I know it's quite strict here. And I think actually my boyfriend was saying he went for a drive the other day and he saw a lot of police cars. And I think police are just like going around to kind of spy to see, you know, if people are distancing each other, if people are going out more than they should be. And I think even here they were kind of encouraging, like, if you see your neighbor hanging out with these like too many people, you can call the police and you'll actually get money for it, if I'm correct. But I don't actually know if people have been doing that.
Well, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that's entirely true with the money thing, because I would sit outside my window and make a full-on
millions.
But I think for me, I've been out a few times, like, going to the shop, etc. I don't think it's that strict. I have to be honest. I really don't, because the thing is like, as long as you're allowing people to go outside, there's always going to be someone that's going to rebel against what you're telling them. Even if you tell them to not meet their friends, they're going to try and do it, or they're going to try and see their partner, etc., whatever. So I think it could be a little bit more stricter, in my opinion. Just in the sense of like doing everyone else a favor. Like, the more you stay inside, the more it helps everybody.
I know, the more it will speed the process.
There are quite a few people that are being very selfish in that sense. But you know, you can't, like, each country is like doing things a lot different. Like, we were like one of the last ones to go, like,
into quarantine.
And you know, we don't know like exactly like what the pros and cons are to that. But
Are you guys having protests over there? Like, I don't know if you've seen in the States, but in the States they're having protests against the whole quarantining, and like, even in Canada, I sadly have to say, out west in Vancouver, there's someone who started like who's, or at least trying to, but has done a march where they're just like, this whole thing is a sham. The government's playing us, let us be free. And I was like,
Oh my God.
good God, man,
Yeah.
like, come on. So,
I mean, they're going towards the whole 5G conspiracy thing, a lot of them as well.
Yeah.
Because there was like towers being
Yeah.
banned or whatever.
Did that happen
Do
over
you know
there?
what? Like, I think it happened in Liverpool or Brighton.
Hot
yeah,
damn.
as well.
Okay.
But obviously, it wasn't shown in the media, so
Okay. Okay.
it's a bit on the low. But yeah, it's. Do you know what? At the end of the day, conspiracy theories are always going to be around, and like,
yeah.
there's
True.
always going to be someone that's a bit more skeptical, and like, whether you agree with it or not, like,
Yeah.
you just have to like accept that they're going to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the whole different countries, like a lot of countries are starting to open up. Like I know
Yeah.
Australia, they have,
Germany as well.
yeah, Germany, they're starting to open up and like go back to normal life. But
Oh, okay.
because it has, we're basing it off of like what's happening in China.
Yeah.
So to see that they can have a second wave really easily, it puts everyone on the fence. But
Definitely.
yeah.
That was scary when when they were opening back up their theaters that first weekend. I remember thinking like, that seems like a bad idea, and then I saw the whole like second wave thing, and I was just like, oh goddamn. And there was like a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the story where they're, and my co-host on my other podcast, he's African, so we were all seeing, like, we were sharing those links about how they were like kicking Africans out of certain areas, and the Africans were just like, I've lived here for like 5-6 years and I'm being kicked out. I'm not a tourist. Like, what are you doing? But yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's intense.
There's a lot of
Not having it with racism. That's one that we could
Definitely
staple
not. That is one of the biggest not having
we
it.
could pin that to the top of the list. It's just a constant.
Yeah, racism and ignorant people. There's just so much of that, I wish I could just like
I feel like
stop people being so ignorant.
I feel like as shit as it is, the situation that we're in right now, I think it's helped people become a bit more kinder.
Yeah.
From what I've experienced anyway, like I go out to the shop and everyone's like on the road is saying hi to me. It might be because like, they haven't seen their friends or anyone.
They crave. I like
could be that.
Paniz's face when you said it was just like, are they? Are they
I was like, but the thing is, like, at the end of the day, like, we never know true intentions of anything.
True.
So them saying hello and like a smile, it might be fake, but we never really truly know. So the fact that they're being kinder and like they generally want to have a conversation with you, even if you're like 2 meters apart or whatever. I think that never really happened here before. So people might be learning a few lessons here and there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Ladies, this has been one of the most fun conversations I've had to date doing this podcast. The podcast started out like it was supposed to, I was just doing it on Anchor, and then the layoff happened and I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to start doing this daily because I need something to do. And then I discovered your show and reached out to you guys, and I at silver lining to an unfortunate situation easily. I definitely had a lot of fun talking with you guys.
Thank you so much for having us as well. It was great being on here, seeing the different perspectives.
Oh no.
Live. Oh shoot, did it go?
I was like, not at the end. No, we've done so well.
And thank you, obviously, Brian, for having us. And like, you're an amazing person as well, and welcome us, and also the ability to have like a really chill conversation with someone. Like, I think that's amazing because
and the fact that you took us on, even though we're quite small still, So having that faith in us, very nice of you.
Yeah. Oh, I like your podcast is great. It's and I consider myself a small podcast. Like I it's not for me. It's one of the things, and I don't know if you guys, because we're part of the same podcast group on Facebook. But do you ever do you guys ever feel weird with how many people are like hyper focused on how big the numbers are and not necessarily on how good their show might be?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, for us, like both of us, like when we first started this, we never really had an agenda. We just we chat shit anyway. So like, let other people hear us if they want to listen. I know I love hearing other people chat shit, so I think it's you know, until I said to Paniz as well, like until this is not fun for us, it's not going to be fun for other people.
Yeah.
So no matter who listens to it, we literally said if we have 2 listeners and they absolutely love it, then they're gonna continue listening.
Yeah, 100%.
100. Okay, well, girls, thank you so much. I had such a great time. I pretty much I feel like this is where we'll end it up. I mean, we've been we're 2 hours. We're hour and 53 minutes.
Thank you so much. It was really, really good. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, this was a blast. Thank you. Where can people find all your stuff? Everything, every site, every link, socials.
So obviously, like Instagram at Not Having It Podcast. We're on Twitter at Not Having It Crew, because on Twitter is a bit of a community like that. So we've changed it up. We're on Not Having It on Facebook. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor at Not Having It Podcast as well.
Awesome. Okay, that's pretty much it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.